What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into X-Men Forever, issue number 2. It is definitely worth noting that this goes concurrently with Rise of the Powers of X, issue number 4. But this comic is really going to explain what is going on with Jean Grey and the Phoenix. What is happening? How is it working? Make it all make sense for us. We're going to see a little bit of things overlapping, but at the end of the day, by the time we get to the end of this comic, it's all going to make sense. There's also a big secret in here that is revealed about Charles Xavier. But make no mistake, this is the rebirth of the Phoenix. So, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you have liked this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we pick up with this, we pick up in the White Hot Room. We have Destiny, Exodus, Hope with Mother Righteous. As they sit here and have a conversation, that's where we see Mother Righteous begin to fade away. As she fades, Charles Xavier begins to talk. He had left a little imprint of himself to help them cross the T's and dot the I's before they progress forward. He tells them to bring Rachel back. She's gonna be mad, and rightfully so, to give her whatever she needs to help Jean Grey, to tell her team that he is sorry, that they didn't understand the roads that their words had led him to take. At this point, he believes that the Phoenix is the only true choice. Before the construct falls to pieces, before this body melts, he sends them all the remaining details that they need. Specifically, all the X-Men who have died in the Orcus Purges. He tells them to bring them back, to lead them, that someone must, because his time has passed. This is what brings us to the resurrection of Rachel, to Rasputin, to all the X-Men that have died. But before they go off and do anything, there is one more they must resurrect. Against everybody's wishes, but having no other option but to do it, they resurrect Sinister. Wondering why he was brought back to life, Destiny tells him that we are all mutants, that we must fight on the same side. No matter all the awful things that you have done, we need you for this fight. As they go over all the details, Orcus has been beat, but the AIs have made a move. And then Enigma aiding all the AIs is another problem. Him making moves is going to be unpredictable. Their only advantage is that he is presently unaware of their plans. That's not going to last forever. Xavier joining the AIs is for two purposes. First, to keep all mutants alive. With the AIs getting ready to strike, everything they're doing will keep mutant kind alive long enough to do what they need to do. But Charles will have to kill humans. Before we even move on from this, that's when Rachel comes in the room, asking all of them how could they do this. Now for Sinister, he's a supervillain. Killing a bunch of humans, morally, ethically, he has no issues with this. Exodus doesn't really care either. Destiny doesn't really care either. The only one that might have an issue with this is Hope. And at the end of the day, Hope is a soldier. She's not a hero. She understands that there are casualties in war, and for once, it is time that humanity shares in that cost. Rachel really believed that her team in Dead X-Men had fixed this problem, had convinced Xavier not to throw Krakoa away by killing Moira, and in truth, he did. They convinced him the dream of Krakoa was too important. So Xavier's dream is Xavier's dream no longer. The dream is the dream. Xavier is Xavier, and Xavier is gone. He is sacrificing himself. He is making himself a martyr for the dream, for a chance of new Krakoa, and then posing the question to Rachel, what would you have done to prevent your timeline where you were whipped like a dog to hunt your peers? What would you do to prevent that from happening? Would you do what Xavier is now doing? Would you have gone as far as Bishop did? What are your limitations? And Hope says that it's done, that we'll make the best of what we can, that maybe we're wrong, maybe it's all for nothing, but all we can do now is fight as hard as we can. Right now, Earth Krakoa is under attack. They get all the X-Men they can and they go back home. They are the cavalry. But the reason that Rachel is here with the trigger is because she needs to be here with the Phoenix plan. As we pick up with Rachel standing before Jean Grey's body, she knows that they gotta do this together. They gotta figure out how they're gonna do this. With Prodigy coming into the room, he wonders that if mutilating the Phoenix was part of Enigma's plan, because the Dominions are weak against the Phoenix. If you take the Phoenix off the board while coming into existence, that would be the smartest move. She does believe that Xavier was right. She has to work this out, and only she can figure this out. With her, her mother, and Prodigy. Taking Prodigy and shoving him into Krakoa. She tells him that this is not one plan, but it is many. It is one that spirals out. The first thing they need is Prodigy. After being connected to the Imkron crystal, he has all those dimensions in him, some of which have the Phoenix in them. He is taking the essence of all of those realities, and they are now being imprinted into Krakoa itself, like a blueprint, like an idea and inspiration, and then they throw it into the fire. They throw it into Jean Grey and try to bring her back. But they have to kill Jean to do this. But she is also already dead. This is Phoenix Heaven and Hell. What fire could possibly burn Jean Grey? Rachel thinks that she might have an answer for this, but it's really about what happens when they do, as Rachel goes on to explain that the Phoenix is all about rebirth. But this is something else, something more. The Phoenix is at the end of its existence. It has to be recreated, and to do this, it needs a lot. Jean is already dead. They kill her, and then what happens? If you kill someone that is dead, that becomes a double negative. A negative to a positive. Kind of a paradox. Infinite life. The Phoenix. At least, that's what she's hoping for. As we pick up with Exodus and one of the young mutants, he's telling Exodus that he's really intense. As they eat food, he mentions how this is going to be the last good food he has after a while, once all the X-Men abandon them. Because that's how he feels. He feels like all the X-Men are just going to leave them here. And Exodus has to let him know that yes, if they resurrect the Phoenix, this place will change. They won't be able to return. This isn't how he thought it would be. He thought he was going to sacrifice himself to let them all go home, to bring them out of the desert. But that's not the way it's going. The heroes go home to save the world, and then they have to stay and try to make the best of it. It seems like they didn't really matter at all. But Exodus reminds him that everything he did for Krakoa, and he is Krakoa. They are the important ones. Exodus saying that he will remember all of them, that they will never be forgotten. As we pick up later, Sinister is working to try and figure all of this out, when he is actually in the room of white hotness with a fresh dose of Doug genes to guide him. He knows exactly what he needs to do and how to work this out. The two Krakoan islands are connected, metaphysically, so this is the same technology he used to make No Place travel between dimensions. He is going to suck this Oasis dry, so that they can persuade Krakoa to reach across space and time and reach the other side. As we see the vines wrap up the mutants, turning to little eggs, and in a flash, everything is gone. This place has turned into a wasteland, void of vegetation, Hope being left over with some of the others. She says that she knows this isn't great. All the work they have done, it has gone into sending them home. But when they bring back the Phoenix, is going to need a lot of work to rebuild. Asking why Hope is still here, she says that she has Messiah stuff to do. Going to the pyre where we find Jean Grey atop. And so with Hope thinking to herself, how do you burn Jean Grey? What fire could hurt her? Jean's fire. This is where Hope lifts up her hand and we see that fire come to life. But with a giant explosion, we hear a demanding no, and Jean reaches out, asking if Hope can hear her. She says that she feels clear, but she was fragmented. She doesn't know what she is anymore, but she is. But when it comes to the Phoenix, Jean is scared, and the Phoenix is scared. It has died before, but it has never ended. And the Phoenix is fighting with all of its power to not meet the end of existence. Asking if Hope can help, we see her pull back the slide on her pistol, and she lets Jean know that she can. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Alright, so there's a lot of information here. First things first, Charles Xavier. he's not necessarily the traitor that we thought he was. In fact, it looks like Charles Xavier is doing this for mutant kind. The AI would have targeted mutant kind first. Charles Xavier is preventing them from being able to do this. He does this by using himself as a vessel for Orchis, telling them, I will help you kill all the humans you want, just leave the mutants alone. He is doing all of this for the hopes that the Phoenix can be resurrected, because if the Phoenix can return, the Phoenix can defeat the Dominion Hoods. They could defeat the AIs. And we also learned that the Phoenix is at the end of its timeline, if you will. It's at the end of its existence, that it can die, come back to life. But there is a point when it eventually ends. When the Phoenix Force, it fades away. And Enigma manipulated the situation so that when he came into power, when he came online and became Enigma, the Phoenix went out of existence. That way he didn't have to worry about the Phoenix. But Rachel has hopes on bringing the Phoenix back to life. After Prodigy tapping into all of those timelines, having a piece of the Phoenix all over the place, they have a piece of the Phoenix reconstructed together from those timelines. They use this as the fire to try and bring back the Phoenix in this reality, trying to create a paradox because Jean Grey is dead and they're gonna put a bullet in her. Her consciousness is still kind of there, but this is going to be them really ending her, creating the paradox, and then recreating Phoenix itself. I am curious on what's gonna happen to all the mutants in the White Hot Room. They're talking like they're never gonna come back. Does this mean that they're all gonna die there? Or that when the Phoenix is reborn, they will stay here in paradise, if you will? Is this their way of kind of getting rid of all the mutants that they have recreated or created in this Krakoan era? We can put them somewhere in a out of space, out of time, White Hot Room reality, so that they're still technically there. We can pull from them whenever we want to, but we don't have to utilize them in any story. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything that is going on with this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description, as well as the top of this video. It's gonna get you completely caught up on everything that is going on with X-Men titles. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you getting tons of perks in the process, you are helping out the channel tremendously. If you are unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.